What if I told you that the mighty Roman Empire did not collapse as a result of war, fifth columnists, or anything remotely connected to that? Did you know that there is now empirical evidence to show that the Roman Empire was actually crippled by an unseen force deadlier than many armies and battle strategies put together? The barbarian Visigoths, Huns, and Vandals had a much more powerful ally that helped crush the mighty Roman army, and it was a deadly disease called malaria. The Gothic Wars of 535 to 554 is one that the history books will never forget in a hurry. The Eastern Roman Empire, under the reign of Emperor Justinian I, and the Ostrogoth Kingdom of Italy were in a battle over the former Western Roman Empire, which the Romans had earlier lost to invading barbarian armies. Like you do. Today, we now know that analysis of the skeleton of a child buried on the eve of the fall of the Roman Empire has revealed that the barbarians may have had a secret ally, malaria, and this is according to British and American researchers. This discovery is the earliest genetic evidence of malaria you can find out there. So, looks like barbarians engaged in some OG biological warfare. Since we know that there are not many diseases out there that can boast of taking down what we can call the global military power at the time, I think malaria is pretty grossly underrated, so let's talk a little bit more about it. Malaria is a mosquito-borne illness that's caused by a parasite called Plasmodium. There are 6 species of Plasmodium that can infect humans, and the most deadly of these is Plasmodium falciparum. P. falciparum, why do we always abbreviate the first word and not the second? The second one's always harder. Anyway, it's a single-celled parasite that lives in the red blood cells of humans. The parasite reproduces inside the red blood cells, and this can lead to a number of serious health problems, including severe anemia, brain damage, kidney failure, and the biggest inconvenience of them all, death. Even though it's true that not all mosquitoes' bites can be infectious, the female Anopheles mosquito in particular is the major carrier of the malaria parasite. In most cases, malaria parasite can be transmitted through contaminated syringes or needles to unsuspecting patients. However, the parasite doesn't spread from person to person on contact. So I guess as long as an infected zombie doesn't bite you, you're good in the presence of other people. Anyway, in 2021, there was an estimated 247 million cases of malaria worldwide, of which 619,000 people died from the disease. Most of these deaths occurred in sub-Saharan Africa, where malaria is a major public health problem. Malaria is a huge health and economic problem, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. Currently, the war against malaria in sub-Saharan Africa is gulping a whopping $12 billion annually. Malaria occurs in roughly half of the world. Malaria is spread by the bite of an infected Anopheles mosquito. When an infected mosquito bites a human, it injects the parasite into the person's bloodstream. The parasite then travels to the liver, where it mutates and reproduces. After a few days, the parasites are released from the liver and enter the bloodstream. They then infect red blood cells where they continue to reproduce. This process can lead to a series of malaria symptoms, including fever, chills, headache, fatigue, and vomiting. The symptoms of malaria can vary depending on the species of Plasmodium, the severity of the infection, and the person's immune system. However, the most common symptoms of malaria include fever, chills, headache, fatigue, vomiting, diarrhea, muscle aches, and cough. However, in some cases, malaria can also cause more serious symptoms, such as seizures, coma, kidney failure, liver failure, respiratory failure, and system failure, aka death. The dangerous thing about a malaria infection is that it breaks down the red blood cells, which can lead to organ failure. But because the patient may not realize this on time, it may lead to sudden death. Generally speaking, it takes 4 days to 10 weeks for malaria to incubate, depending on the type of Plasmodium. Some types of malaria parasites may remain undetected in the human body without symptoms for years, but through laboratory tests and physical examinations, healthcare providers can detect if the malaria parasite is present or not. Malaria can be diagnosed by a blood test. The test looks for the presence of the parasite in the blood. Malaria is usually treated with anti-malaria drugs. The type of drug that's used depends on the severity of the infection. In most cases, malaria is curable if it's treated promptly. However, if the infection is not treated, it can be fatal. That's why it's really important if you come from the tropics or subtropics and you have a fever to go to the doctor right away for a blood test. The best way to prevent malaria is to avoid mosquito bites. My preference? Flamethrower. But since the most vulnerable group to the malaria parasite are children, pregnant women, and HIV/AIDS patients, special attention should be given to these categories of people in the prevention of this deadly disease. Some good ideas for the prevention of malaria infection can include widespread distribution of mosquito nets, wearing long sleeves and pants to avoid mosquito bites, using insect repellent, but most importantly, keeping the environment clear and void of stagnant water and overgrown bushes. Another helpful way of preventing malaria is through what is known as seasonal malaria chemoprevention, or SMC. SMC is a way of preventing malaria and maintaining therapeutic drug concentrations in the blood throughout the time of greatest malaria risk. Seasonal malaria chemoprevention is defined as the intermittent administration of full treatment with an anti-malaria medication during the malaria season. Children under 5 are disproportionately affected by seasonal malaria. Based on results from large-scale investigations and clinical trials, the World Health Organization approved the use of SMC in 2012. These studies demonstrated that SMC is a protective strategy that can lower malaria morbidity and mortality in children aged 3 to 59 months. Finally, vaccines like RTSS have been licensed for malaria prevention. RTSS is also known by the brand named Mosquitoes and is a good preventative strategy against the malaria parasite. As of April 2023, 1.5 million kids have received the RTSS vaccine, which has resulted in a 30% decrease in the number of malaria patients being admitted to hospitals. The R21/Matrix M vaccine is another vaccine which has a 77% efficacy rate, and it's another suitable strategy for malaria prevention. If you found the information in this video educational and fascinating, then I've done a good job. My goal here on this channel is to bring you some highly educational information with an interesting presentation of the facts so that things don't suck and you can enjoy learning. If you like this video, then you'll like all the other videos just like this one on our channel. So go ahead and follow the prompt on your screen right now to watch the next educational and entertaining health video on our channel. And while you're doing that, remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new here and give all my videos a thumbs up to encourage me to keep on making videos like this one. And as always, thank you very much for choosing to spend your time with us today. We'll see you in the next video.